Stocks are down while Bitcoin is up. The courts have just approved $16 billion liquidity to be injected back into Bitcoin from the FTX bankruptcy. BlackRock, they're literally telling us the dollar is about to collapse and to buy Bitcoin. Then we have Mike Novogratz, the Oracle of Wall Street. He spoke on CNBC predicting the next surge as Bitcoin options, a jolt that will shake the market to its core. Does this give us a mega candle? Probably not. The question is, an Omega candle really possible? Next, Metaplanet bought another $7 million in Bitcoin. And the system they use for institutions for social control. We're going to take a look at this, but first let's dive into Bitcoin and FTX. Peter here, since the Fed cut rates, Bitcoin is up 17%, gold's up 5%. MicroStrategy, which has leveraged Bitcoin, up 52%. US Treasury bonds, they're down 6%. Most Americans don't understand what's happening. They've never seen Fed rate cuts lead to higher inflation and interest rates, and they're about to get wiped out. Everything is down but Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the only exit. Do you get it yet? We see the S&P 500 down today. If we flip over to the background, Bitcoin is up, sitting at 63,240. So let's dive into FTX. Crypto exchange, the FTX liquidation plan receives court approval. It's just been released, updated an hour ago on Reuters. New York, October 7, FTX received court approval of its bankruptcy plan on Monday, which will allow it to fully repay customers using $16 billion in assets recovered since the once leading crypto exchange collapsed. The settlement is going to allow FTX to use its assets to repay customers of its crypto exchange first, before paying potentially competing claims filed by government regulators. That's a good thing. That's a win for people that were silly enough to leave their Bitcoin on the exchange. But once among the world's top crypto exchanges, FTX downfall shook the sector, leaving an estimated 9 million customers and investors facing billions of dollars in losses. What's interesting is the FTX plan will pay its customers at least 118% of the value in their accounts as of November 22, the date the company filed for bankruptcy. Gets more interesting. Customers have mixed responses to the plan, with many expressing disappointment that FTX demise caused them to miss out on a strong rebound in crypto prices since the market bottomed out in 2022. Some customers have objected to the plan, demanding higher repayments reflecting recent rise in cryptocurrency values. FTX said this was not possible to simply return the crypto assets that had been deposited because customer assets were gone, misappropriated by founder Sam Bankman-Fried. No Bitcoin exchange, no crypto exchange is safe. Please get your Bitcoin off the exchange. Otherwise that happens, and it happens over and over again. FTX was one of the largest in the world. The largest at the moment is Coinbase. It doesn't matter where you are. Please get it off today. But diving over to Novogratz, and just quickly for clarity, that $16 billion that's been approved is held by people that have missed the bottom. They'll be wanting to get in. They'll want to FOMO back in. A lot of them are sick of the altcoins, Fiat 2.0 games. They'll be coming in for Bitcoin. Absolutely about to send the price sky high. And then we have Novogratz talking about the next catalyst. We'll just play a little clip. Let's play all of it. It's 2 minutes. It's worth it.
What are you hearing as it relates to the ETFs and how big the inroads have been? Obviously, there was a big move afoot when this first happened, but it's quieted down materially since then. And I'm trying to understand what's happened, because I think part of the expectation was that, you know, all these advisors were all of a sudden going to be out there marketing this stuff, and it was going to shift the balance.
You know, that's a slower process than I think the market anticipated, right? Like, a lot of these big platforms are just starting a month ago, starting this month, starting next month. And so I think this will be a, ongoing play over the years, not over the months. And I just think the more different ways you give access, the next big jolt to Bitcoin is going to be when we have options that trade on the ETFs, the SEC.
It gets quite interesting. He talks about MicroStrategy as well a little bit.
He said they're coming. I don't know if it's in 3 weeks or a month, but we will have
options. What do you think that jolt is worth?
You know, if you look at MicroStrategy as the one place right now you can get leverage on Bitcoin as a retail investor, it trades at more than 2.3 times the value of the Bitcoin it has, mostly because of the options. It is the single, often most weeks, it's the single largest, option stock in the whole market. And that tells me something, that there's a whole bunch of young guys on Robinhood that want to play crypto and want to do it with leverage. And
what do you think happens, by the way, to MicroStrategy if, in fact, that options become available?
You know, we'll see. We'll see. Michael Saylor has got a almost Elon Musk-like hold on a lot of people. They believe in him. It seems to be a stock that's very expensive relative to the Bitcoin it owns, but fighting Elon Musk when he was hot was a hard thing to do, and I'm sure.
Doesn't sound like he's much of a fan of Michael Saylor or MicroStrategy, but he does give credit where credit is due. Now, Japan's Metaplanet, they make another $7 million Bitcoin buy, bringing their holdings to $40.5 million. They're going to continue to keep buying, and they're going in pretty hard. Japanese investment firms scooped up more than 200 Bitcoin so far this month. Japanese investment company Metaplanet made another Bitcoin purchase, bringing its stash to almost 640 Bitcoin and sending its stock surging more than 10%. You just cannot stop Bitcoin. People are starting to wake up. They are starting to get it. Everyone's coming for it. We've got a video to play shortly in regards to BlackRock saying the dollar is collapsing to buy Bitcoin. They literally send the signal. But first, let's tune into the price. $63,205.31 in depreciating fiat this morning. We had a lower 62,302, pretty much $1,000 below where we are, and a high 64,499, pretty much $1,000 higher than where we are now. We're sitting right in the middle. It has been pretty happy with the $63,000 level. We are still waiting for it to break above 64,000, hold above there for a while before we can go higher. Just keeps hitting that 64 and comes back down. It's not like it's just peaking up above it, but Bitcoin's going up into the right forever because this number is going to continue to keep going up. It's getting pretty crazy. $35.684 trillion.
Ahead of thematic investing.
Hold up 1 minute. This is 3 minutes 30. It's pure signal, all of it. BlackRock's head of active ETFs explains why Bitcoin and crypto adoption is outpacing other major technologies. Who would have thought BlackRock would have came into the space, and they're literally pushing the Bitcoin message. They're warning people that the dollar is going down in value, that it's not safe. We're here now. Welcome to 2024. They're going to absolutely pump Bitcoin this cycle. It's good for number go up technology. Just remember, if it's not in self-custody, not your keys, not your coins. Good morning to everyone watching live and watching the replay. If you haven't already, and we vibe, hit subscribe. You will get the news 5 days a week, and it will help push all Bitcoin content out there. While Bitcoin's so cheap, let's get people to put in the work to study Bitcoin. It takes 100 hours to get a good idea, so people need to get going. Anyway, let's get it.
Head of thematic investing at BlackRock, I really spend a lot of my time thinking about the future and some of the disruptive changes that are impacting the world and society and the economy and our portfolios around us. Oftentimes, this is about disruptive technologies. Oftentimes, it's about societal changes. But what we found with blockchain and digital assets is that in some ways, this is one of the fastest growing technologies we've seen in the last few years. On the right-hand side of the chart, you can see our adoption curve. This is just looking at how quickly certain assets are adopted by society. And you can see that blockchain and digital assets are being adopted faster than major revolutions before it, whether that's the internet or whether that's cell phones. And there's a couple of reasons for this. The first reason is just we're living in a more digital economy than ever before. If we're consuming things online, streaming videos, playing video games, buying digital content, it makes sense to have digitally native assets to conduct those transactions, particularly when there's. Secondly, and importantly, in a year like this year, where over half the world's population is voting for new leadership, not just the elections in the United States, in Mexico, in India, and the European Union, we're seeing more geopolitical risk than before, and in fact, declining trust in institutions, whether that's trust in government institutions for maintaining peace and order, whether that's trust in central banks in terms of keeping inflation under control. More distrust has exacerbated the need for a global monetary alternative. The third we're seeing is demographic changes, the rise of the millennial and Gen Z generation. Millennials, at least in the United States, are set to inherit trillions of dollars, are entering peak earnings years in their work, and are increasingly playing an important role in the economy. And millennials are very different from previous generations because we, were the first generation to be digitally native, growing up with the internet, growing up with computers. We understand digital better than previous generations, and that means we're more likely to adopt digital currencies. And then finally, what I think has been really important to BlackRock in our journey in the digital asset space has been the maturing of infrastructure in digital assets. We've seen billions of dollars move in venture capital and private equity into digital assets to fund incredible innovation in blockchain. We've seen the regulatory environment evolve to get more constructive around digital assets and how people can buy them. We've seen extremely talented people leave traditional finance to go into DeFi to help lead some of these innovations. And all of this infrastructure has really matured over the last 5 years. So between all of these tailwinds, it's really creating the opportunity for digital assets to gain broader adoption across more investors around the world. With that being said, we're in the early days. 2.9 trillion, it changes every day. Maybe it's slightly higher or slightly lower since we made this slide. But we could have focused thus far our efforts on 2 digital assets, the 2 largest. We feel that between these 2 assets, which represent about 75% of the market cap of the digital asset space, and have some of the most liquidity in the digital asset space, that we can really start to make headway in terms of bringing out accessible vehicles to more investors. Now, what I'm going to talk about...
We'll stop it there. So a couple of really interesting takeaways that I just wrote down. It's the fastest growing technology. It's outpacing both cell phones and the internet. We are moving and transitioning towards a digital economy, obviously. No kidding. But people are really starting to pay attention due to the geopolitical risks, everything that's going around. There is a lot of declining trust within both governments and the central banks. I think the policies between the central banks and the governments lately have been hurting a lot of people in many ways and leading to this melt up that we are facing, where everything gets more and more expensive. It's going to continue to do that, which is good for people holding hard assets. People living week to week are going to get absolutely decimated, and it looks like that's going to play out. Don't want that, but just saying maybe something to be aware of. And then the demographics are changing. People are about to inherit trillions of dollars, and those people, the millennials, they are digitally native. Bitcoin's time, it is here. It's early days. The market cap, $1.3 trillion for Bitcoin. This thing is going up and to the right. We're going to dive into the possibility of an Amiga candle. It's something fun. Excellent Samson Meow throws about all the time, but we'll get to that. There is a PSA, I guess. There's this hack thing going on Ton network. So there's like a phishing attack going on. They're trying to drain users' wallets. They're not getting enough over on the Ton network, so they've been told to move over and target Bitcoin users. Just please have your Bitcoin secured properly. This is what it's about. Meanwhile, the unnamed wallet drainer urged users to shift their attention to Bitcoin, the flagship digital asset. In the message, the hackers stated that those who enjoy draining on Ton would also find targeting Bitcoin appealing. Certic, another prominent blockchain security company, recently emphasized that malicious actors are increasingly drawn to Bitcoin due to its high transaction volumes, larger user base, and substantial total value locked. Phishing attacks on Bitcoin holders have risen sharply in the past few months. One of the most notable incidents involved a $238 million attack on a Bitcoin whale, further underscoring the mounting risks in the space. This leads me into a shout out to today's sponsor, the Bitcoin Way. The Bitcoin Way can help you master your Bitcoin self-custody and cybersecurity. The team have 25 years cybersecurity expertise, and they can guide you through the Bitcoin journey. They never touch your keys. They never touch your coins. They'll just educate you, find out what knowledge gaps are missing, hold your hand on that journey, provide a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of clarity. The team is highly integral, and they'll help you master Bitcoin self-custody to be self-sovereign, not be subject to scams, to hacks, to phishing attacks. And then you can lock down your digital infrastructure. After that, you can look into things like inheritance planning. Made it super easy. Top of the description, there is a link, or you can reach out to thebitcoinway.com. They've got some really cool resources on their website as well. If you go all the way down to the bottom, you can get some of their e-books. They chuck in your email, and you can see their news and media. Also, Safedina Moose and Natalie Brunel recommend the Bitcoin Way. The team's simply the best in Bitcoin, helping people secure it at a very reasonable price. And again, the first 30 minutes is free. So William of Rotherham, if you bought Bitcoin 4 years ago on this date, the price was 10,673. Today, the Bitcoin price is 63,706. You'll gain 496.9%. I'll take it. If you're new to Bitcoin, welcome. Well done getting here. If one piece of advice that may or may not help you, it's your journey, it's your choice, it's your money, it's your choice. All of it comes 100% self-responsibility down to you, which is absolutely fantastic. It's empowering, and that's the point of Bitcoin. Allows you to be a sovereign individual. But if you're coming in for the number go up technology, stick around for 4 years and buy the whole time. DCA every day or every week will lead to extraordinary wealth in a 4-year time frame. Thinking just to get in, you're going to feel like a genius, because Bitcoin's about to absolutely pump, but we will get somewhere and it will come back down. And the point is to play and stay here for those 4-year cycles, put in the proof of work. Hopefully that helps someone out there. Not everyone will do it, but not everyone's going to make it either. So up to you. Now, in regards to Amiga candles, little bit of fun before we dive into the social pillars of control, how these people are trying to shut us down in every way. You can mock people like myself or Samson Mao all you want and call us moon boys, but to say there's a 0% possibility or probability of Bitcoin hitting 1 million by the end of 2025 is nothing short of being irresponsibly complacent. Do I think we'll be at 1 million in a year? Probably not, but I refuse to rule out the possibility, and I treat every week when I buy Bitcoin as possibly being the last week that I'm able to net a sizable amount with the fiat I have. When looking at the environment the global markets are in, and understanding that we're in an artificially propped up everything bubble, one must take into consideration that we are possibly one major black swan event away from total chaos. Chaos is what Bitcoin was engineered to thrive in. And what do you think happens when the world wakes up in to this revolution simultaneously? The number goes up exponentially and much faster and higher than most can fathom. Personally, I'd prefer a slower grind for a while longer. But deep down inside, I'm preparing for when gradually phase transitions to suddenly, and you should be as well. Once it happens, most will look back with regrets. They did not buy more aggressively due to thinking they had plenty of time to do so. No single country that experienced hyperinflation saw it coming till after the fact. Hindsight, it's 2020. I'd rather be called a moon boy and get the last laugh down the road. The God candle, it's inevitable. Just as the collapse of any given fiat currency is inevitable, the only thing we don't know is the time frame. If you take a step back and size up the global macro picture, I'd say the stage has been beautifully set, and all we need is the catalyst to spark off a face-melting run to the heavens. Whether this happens in a year or 10 years is anyone's best guess. But until that day, I'll be fervently stacking sats in preparation, and you should too. It's up to you what you do. Bitcoin is going up into the right forever, and it will be slowly, then suddenly. So I guess the question is, do you have enough? Did you make it? Did you get your stack? Did you get your stretch goal? And are you continuing to stack? Because it's TikTok next block. This is really interesting. I posted it, and at Sean Clark 911, I'll repost it again just now. It talks about net worth percentiles by age. Well worth checking out to see if you're in the top 1%, 5%, 10%. If you're not there, it's time to get back to work and stack harder and do it for a 4-year time frame. But you don't want to be in the lower 25 or 50% cohorts. Pretty interesting. This is just an opinion piece, but the mayor of Rockdale, Texas, he writes an opinion letter on how Bitcoin mining revitalized his town. We're on the cusp of a new economic renaissance, a digital energy boom, thanks to Bitcoin. In every single way, Bitcoin, every single day, is making the world a greater, a grander, a more fair, equitable, truthful, honest, integral place. Fix the money, fix the world. It's absolutely fantastic. It's worked in Texas. It's going to work here in Australia. If they move the regulations anywhere, we can incorporate Bitcoin into the grid, especially with renewable energy, to be able to help pay for the grid build out, not put all that burden back onto the taxpayers, the energy payers. Bitcoin in every single way makes everything so much better. And the Mayor of Rockdale is saying exactly that. You can check it out. I will repost that. It's a longer read for everyone at Sean Clark 911 over there on X. I'm not going to read this whole thing here, but I'm going to race through a couple of things. So the bond market is revolting against the Fed. This morning, yields in the US 10-year bond soared over 4%. This continues a non-stop rise in yields following the 50 basis point cut. Normally, long rates follow the path of interest rates in the overnight lending market, which the Fed controls, but it isn't a normal environment. Consider last Friday's blowout jobs report, entirely driven by government hiring. Biggest outside of COVID. Whoever believes our economy is strong must think borrowing unsustainable amounts of money, printing money to pay for those loans, and then hiring people to do wasteful government jobs is the path to prosperity. It isn't. US government run deficits equal to 6%, only generating 3%. In other words, you remove government spending, America's economy is shrinking. We're on our way to a Soviet-like collapse in an economy as more and more of everything we do, including our jobs, are controlled by the government. Mr. Market is starting to sniff that out. That's why investors are dumping treasuries and flooding the gold stocks and real estate at record high prices. I would like to throw Bitcoin into this as well. Meanwhile, we're witnessing an entire presidential election campaign without either major party addressing the single most important issue at stake in our country, America's unsustainable debt burden, the coming insolvency of the federal government. Like to interject here, Trump is talking about adding Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. We haven't heard much about that lately. If that happens, if that plays out, if with politicians, there's always a whole lot of ifs to us, maybe they'll talk about it, but overall, nobody's really talking about the unsustainable debt burden, the coming insolvency of the federal government. Only a matter of time now until one day the US Treasury market suddenly realized that no amount of printing will stop the collapse. There will be no bid for our country's bonds. And on that day, everything you think you knew about America will be completely gone. I do hope you are prepared for what's coming. Now, this is going to be a little bit interesting and might help some people out. I think this is absolutely fascinating, how society controls people, how they keep people stuck in the matrix, how they keep everyone shackled and control them as modern day slaves. And the way they do that is through the 4 institutions of social control. So the first institution is government. The second one is religion. The third is mass media. And fourth is the education systems. Now, I bring this up because there is a lot of pushback on regards to X and regards to misinformation, disinformation. I need to show you this clip of that White House reporter lady. Absolutely insane, calling a reporter out for misinformation, disinformation. It's absurd. They're just using it to be able to sideline and not stick to the truth. But for a bit of context, this is an old quote by Henry Kissinger. Who controls the food supply controls the people. Who controls energy can control whole continents. Who controls money can control the world. Bill Gates, the World Economic Forum, are very much looking to control the food supply. They're looking to control the energy through this renewable energy deal. And I was thinking about this, and this is a little bit of speculation. A lot of the green agenda has come from the World Economic Forum, the United Nations. It's pushed here and it's been pushed out by Labor in Australia, putting solar panels, wind farms absolutely everywhere. Our electricity prices are sky high, zero emissions, whatever. You can say for or against it, but it's costing us a hell of a lot of money. And it's not very effective. It's not very sustainable, renewable. They need to build it out. And places where they've rolled out this green energy, they're having rolling blackouts. Do you think this has been pushed through? Number one is a land grab. Put all the solar panels over prime agricultural farming land to be able to then control the food supply, to be able to restrict it so people eat the bugs because the prime grazing land is no longer available. And then they realize that the energy is just not sustainable and we need more and more energy to run. And go figure, Bill Gates has got a whole lot of nuclear reactors. So we funded him in a roundabout way. I dare say he's very connected to where we're buying these solar panels from, who's buying up the farmland. Bought all the solar panels. They knew they wouldn't work, but that money went in to build the reactors. Now we're going to go towards nuclear reactors. Maybe it takes 5, 10, 15 years for that to be able to happen. But we've funded all that through the taxpayer instead of leaving it up to the free market. Anyway, that's a little bit of the speculation I was starting to contemplate about last night. So they're controlling the food, they're controlling the energy, and then obviously they are controlling the money. And this is how they want to further control citizens, control the money. In the EU, they're planning an all-asset database of every citizen's assets so they know what citizens own. Bitcoin and self-custody may be something worthwhile looking at. We're going to dive into why. If you need help, reach out to the Bitcoin Way. Talk to Tony, the team, Andy, Michael Jordan. Talk to somebody on the team there, because this is coming. Citizens would report their individual assets, including bank account balances, property, jewelry, cars, and art, in order to create a union-wide wealth tax. Also handy for seizing those non-CBDC purchases in the future. Massive overreach of a totalitarian state, so of course Labor will love it. Shocker. Absolutely crazy. Now, this is fake information, but it's just a little bit of food for thought as we come back to controlling the food. The World Economic Forum is demanding that governments enforce bans on members of the general public growing their own food at home in order to comply with unelected globalist organization Net Zero Agenda. The WEF argues that homegrown food creates emissions that allegedly cause global warming. They did not say that. That is not true. The reason I bring it up is because they potentially could. However, they're already pushing this agenda of controlling the food. This is hilarious. Peter McCormack reposted, DEFRA left with egg on its face. An online revolt over chicken database crashes as pranksters list rubber chickens and chicken nuggets as pets. They've been made to register all their chickens, chicken nuggets, and rubber chickens as pets. It seems so absurd, but in every way, they want to control the food supply. They want to control the money. They want to control the information. And if you're keen to understand why all Western countries are trying to ram mad censorship in and will likely do so, look no further than the Pact for Future Labour just signed us up to. The UN is the enemy of free speech and democracy. It's amazing. It's absurd. The reason I bring this up with Bitcoin on a Bitcoin channel is to know all this stuff is happening. The WEF, the IMF, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the Bank of International Settlements, the Federal Reserve, the SEC. Everyone hates people holding Bitcoin in self-custody because it gives you a level of freedom that is outside the system of lies, programming, control, propaganda. And they absolutely hate it. But it's only going to help you in your life if it's in self-custody. If it's on an exchange, it's an ETF, number go up, that's great. Exchanges probably get shut down more and more like FTX. If you're holding self-custody, you do the right things. You don't need to worry about all of this stuff. You can get a second passport. You can just opt out. But this is where it starts.
Digital platforms are being misused to subvert science and spread disinformation and hate to billions of people. This clear and present global threat demands clear and coordinated global action. our policy brief on information integrity on digital platforms puts forward a framework for a concerned international response.
Yeah, no, pass. We've got a couple more clips to be able to show. So, Fox presses White House and funding for the hurricane aid. Docky asked KGP why the Biden-Harris admin can send immediate funding to Lebanon without Congress coming back, but can't do the same for adult disaster funds to NC. KJP calls his question misinformation after a testy exchange. She storms out. So how are they going to use it? They're just going to label everything misinformation, disinformation. It goes against their party line.
To the impacted areas. But instead, people want to do disinformation, misinformation, which is dangerous, because then when folks on the ground hear that, they may not want to.
I'll repost the full clip if everyone wants to see, but she says misinformation, disinformation about 4 times over that 2.5 minutes before storming out. Just on every area, they're coming for us. They all get together in their little think tanks, in their groups at the World Economic Forum, and they want to shut down free speech. They hate Elon Musk for this, and we're going to dive into some of the banter at the end shortly.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact, the kind of, been.
Yeah, mainstream media is now obsolete, and they absolutely hate it. That free journalists, they have a platform to be able to speak on, and people can share ideas, have discourse. It's absolutely amazing. And they're scared of it. It's crazy. Here in Australia, our Liberal and Labor parties in Australia funneled $75 million taxpayer money to the corrupt Clinton Foundation. Makes absolutely no sense in a cost of living crisis. It just feels like in every single way, the governments, whether it's through hurricane relief, taxpayers' money to the Clinton Foundation, coming in with misinformation, disinformation, they are working to crush the human spirit. Thank fuck we can opt out. Even Melania Trump, she's debanked. If they can do it against the First Lady, they can do it against everyone. We had Bank of America last week go down for about 12 hours. Here in Australia, we've had banks shut me out, that's for sure. We've had telecom communication services go down. That happened over in the States as well with Verizon. And every way, it feels like they're doing all these little tests to be able to see if they can just shut down everything that gives people a sense of connection, a sense of control in their own lives. When they control the money, they control the world. We'll just play a couple of seconds.
The powers that be wanted to cancel you. What happened and how did that feel?
It happened already in the White House, and soon he announced for politics, but later on, more when we left the White House, when I established my own business. As you said, the bank suddenly informed me they will not be able to do business with me.
We don't like you. We're not doing business. You don't have that problem on Bitcoin. It's absolutely insane, absolutely absurd. And then in regards to the World Economic Forum, they are actually for urban gardening, urban horticulture, or urban agriculture. Is the process of growing plants of all types in an urban environment. This is just the other side to that fake news where they're coming for the food. In a roundabout way they are, but they do push this. It is not only a sustainable method to grow your own healthy food, but also an innovative approach towards environmentally friendly urban lifestyle. Urban gardening also helps to make the city green and promote the city to become self-sufficient with this food supply. So this article we brought up here, they're not demanding governments enforce bans of members growing their own food, just for clarity's sake. I rail against them all the time, but we need to be fair and stick to the facts. Now, blockade 864,652, Bitcoin exchange rate $63,270 USD for 1 BTC. It's under 1,600 sats, 1,581, pretty much where it was yesterday, last block 5 minutes ago. Fees gone up yesterday would have been an absolutely fantastic day to do some UTXO management. Well done to everyone that did do it. If you haven't already, maybe wait for these to come back down to 4. Do they come back down to 4? Yeah, I think so. But their fees are going to get very high when things start pumping. And let's just have a look at the hash rate, up 3.69%. 369. The numbers of the universe. Nikola Tesla said, when you understand the power of 369, you understand the universe. It's pretty interesting. And we've had, like, Bitcoin just lines up with truth. It's integral. It's like, it's an honest system of accounting. It's run a little bit hot too. Last 24 hours, 162 blocks instead of the targeted 144. It's about on average 9 minutes 38 seconds. 9 minutes 35 seconds is average since the Genesis block. Public nodes, run 1. There's only 19,132. Bitcoin self-custody air gap wallet, that's step number 1. Step number 2 is running, connecting your own node to be able to verify, to be that free sovereign individual. Now, over these guys, they're Bitcoiners. America was built during time of crisis. Hard times make strong men. It's time to cowboy up. It's time for change. The agricultural community comes together during times of crisis when the government turns their backs. I'm focused on helping promote and connect producers with consumers so we can cut out the corporate entities subsidized by that same government. Did see over in the States, you export a lot of your beef as well. And then import more that you eat. It's absurd why you do that. Maybe you get more for it and it's cheaper to buy Aussie beef or whatever it is. But Dr. Sean Baker, we had him on. He's a carnivore advocate. He's a Bitcoiner. Make America not effing fat again. The easiest way to be able to do that. High protein, high fat diet. I'm a bit of a journey here. Me and my best mate launch rarejerk.com.au, aiming to create the best jerky here in Australia. Dad's Barbecue, that's the original jerk, and we have double smoked as well. Double smoked, time-honored rub, or the original jerk are my favorites. But Emil here, one of the subscribers, community members, got some best beef jerky ever, and I've had many types and brands. The original flavor is ultimate. It's like eating a perfectly dried steak. I'll never buy any other brand. Top of its class. Congrats, Rare Jerk, Sean and the team. So me and Luke, thank you so much, Emil. If you want to check it out, if you're in Australia, if you like beef jerky, it's a superfood and you want to support the show, greatly appreciate if you check it out, rarejerk.com.au. When we're finished the live, I'll put a link at the top of the description. I think you'll see some big things coming soon from us. We're getting tallow on the way as well, and I am heading up on Thursday if the packaging's arrived to pick up boxes and boxes of jerky. But rarejerk.com.au. Check out the Rare Jerk manifesto. There's an ode to Bitcoin in here and why we're doing it. And then just like the reason I focus occasionally towards the end, yesterday was about spring water, today beef, or something to do with our health is, yes, Bitcoin, it's going to lead to remarkable riches, a whole lot of wealth in your life. But to be truly wealthy, you have to have health. Meat may not be for everyone, but eating healthy, drinking clean spring water, eating green and clean, if you're not into the red meat, is absolutely imperative. Otherwise, everyone gets really wealthy and sick and diseased. And then, like, what's the point? You can't enjoy it. Bitcoin's going to absolutely rip. It's going to moon. $16 billion from FTX is coming into the space very shortly. Most of that money is going to go into Bitcoin, at least first. Some of it may flow out into altcoins, shitcoins. That's great. People can be a degenerate. But some of those people have learned their lesson. They realize it should have just been Bitcoin in self-custody. That's what's going to happen. They're going to buy it. They're going to take it straight off the exchange. And these people that do buy Bitcoin again, better believe they will not be leaving their Bitcoin on the exchange. Otherwise, that's insanity. That's the news with the fast facts. We're going to dive into a bit of a banter. If you're heading off, g'day. It's a real pleasure. If you haven't already, if you can smash the subscribe button, we will keep you updated 5 days a week, 7:35 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Unless I go live a little bit earlier this one, just got an absolute massive day. My wife convinced me and incentivized me. Yesterday was a public holiday. When you work for yourself, you don't get public holidays or holidays really. So, it becomes very busy, but she incentivized me to do it. And so I've just got a major day. I need to catch up on a full day here. We went out on the jet ski and it was absolutely brilliant. It was worth it. But I thought I'd go early this morning just to be able to get a few more hours in this morning. Johnny Midas, shout out. Jake Thomas, talking about FEMA, funneling emergency money to aliens. Jorgen, hello from Schruns. I left Mount Borbor behind and back in Good, Austria. Good to see you, mate. I met Jurgen at Mount Borbor, little ski resort in Australia. First time snowboarding outside. It was pretty epic. Really, really cool. And I guess the snow season's finished here in Australia as well. G'day, Rob from WA. It's one place in Australia, one part of Australia I've not been yet. Blick, Lordy, I think November will be outrageous. Keep going. Hell yeah, it will be. We've got this opportunity to be able to stack. Blick, I've got 4 clients who pay in Bitcoin now for haircuts. Let's go. That's 300 growth this month. Slowly, catchy monkey. Love it. Morning, Sean. I'm a bit late. Emil, that's the legend that we just read out that review for rarejerk.com. Thanks so much, mate. I'm glad that you really enjoyed the jerk, and it's good to see you this morning. Absolute base. Hey, Clarky, how's it going, son? Robert, bloody terrific, mate. Yesterday, I walked in to get some more electrolyte, and I asked the lady how she's doing. She's like, terrific. I'm like, what a terrific attitude to have. What a grand and glorious day. She's just beaming. But it is a great day. I'm doing well. How are you doing, Robert? How is everyone today? Ethereum equals shit. 100% it does. Glenn, good to see you this morning. Smash the like button. What do we have here? Dominion Software counting the likes. 68 watching and 17 likes. Let's go. Hit it. It's a small thing you can do. It's free. It pushes the Bitcoin signal. It pushes the message. It tells YouTube to get this channel out there. If you gain any value, it's something free, easy you can do. It'd be greatly appreciated. Bitcoin will make politicians obsolete, 100%. Jeffrey Schmidt, Semper Fi for Phoenix, Arizona. All roads lead to Bitcoin. What's going on today, my furry little node holders? Bloody hell. Bitcoin Buddhas into the furries. Where's Lambo? Thanks for what you do, mate. Appreciate your channel. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate everyone that's stacking Bitcoin now in self-custody. It's the people in self-custody that are really going to make a difference in their lives, their families' lives, their friends' lives, in the greater world. If it's on the exchange, it's not really yours. It's an IOU. Can you look into interview one of the Start 9 crew? I started writing that down. Can. I'll reach out. Start 9 crew interview. I'll see what I can sort out there, Robert, for you. I've just launched my private server. How epic. Vote Trump if you want to retain your freedoms. Vote Camilla if you want it. Mass censorship imposed upon Americans. Yeah. Here I'm on the other side of the world, and I can only see it from my biased viewpoint. But the way that I see it is Elon Musk and Trump, the richest man in the world and currently the most influential man in the world, sort of running on platform. JD Vance, obviously VP, but then you got Biden, Harris and stuff. And what I see currently under Biden, Harris, the world's at war. People are blowing up. People are dying. Money's been spent. It's just perpetual money printing. It's getting harder for everyone, especially the people that are getting bombs blown up. But then just for people in the States, here in Australia, as well under our Labor government. So that's what I see under sort of Biden, Harris. Objectively, looking at Trump last time, there's no war, or the war eased off and then pretty much stopped. Money printing, inflation still happens, not as much. Trump's more of a businessman, I think, out of his own ego, and he's got a freaking massive ego. I think he's a very greedy, selfish person. He's only really incentivized for himself to make himself look good, feel good. However, to be able to do that, and what he holds true to himself is business acumen. And same with Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. who sometimes it's hard to know what side he's on, whether he's good or bad. But when we look objectively, X is the biggest free speech platform in the world with the largest audience, and it's pay to play. You need to be verified to be able to really get seen, to become known. That's fine. Hey, he's also a capitalist. But in the way things go, pretty free speech. With Elon, Trump, they're sort of fighting for that. Less wars, less inflation, make America the greatest country again in the world. That's what Trump wants. Or currently, we've got endless wars, endless money printing. Both parties probably endless money printing. If Trump is what he looks like on the inside from seeing him on the outside, definitely the better option. I think anything's better than the current option at the moment. People are literally just blown up. Neither option is great, but that's the two options that are there. So it's up to you what you do. But I'm fucking sick of the wars, the division, the racism, the divide and conquer that's going on so many fronts. We just do not need it. And it's because the fucking money's broken, the incentives are broken. We'll see. We'll see if things change and get back on track. Belize, g'day mate. A man with a giant wax head. I wonder where in this video that came out. It's probably, I wonder if it's Klaus Schwab, the man with the giant wax head. Belize, just tried the Bitcoin 24 modeling from MicroStrategy. Wow, my little Bitcoin stack looks awesome. Just hodl, buy, stack, and chill. It's all you need to do. It's just time. Even a small amount will turn into a large amount, and the harder you go, the better it is. You are amazing, mate. Appreciate you very much. Tony is in the house. V4 BTC. All roads lead to Bitcoin in 100% self-custody. No exceptions. McLovin, good to see you this morning, mate. Appreciate everyone being here. McLovin, as always, travel every channel. Daniel G, good to see you this morning, brother. Today, they will let us know who Satoshi is. I assume they still don't know. My guess is Jürgen. I'm going to butcher that, Jürgen, so I'm not going to be able to Schmind Huber, father of AI from Germany, since Satoshi had a son. Had an Aon email address, it would be a possibility. Very, very interesting. Elon is going all the way. Bit strange. He is so into politics. Well, politics, it's that system of control, isn't it? The government. And that's why I brought that up earlier. Government, religion, mass media. Oh my gosh. Why? And the education system. John Kerry. Oh, it was the wax figurehead. Okay, thank you very, very much, legends. That's news with the fast facts. If you haven't already, smash subscribe. Help me get the channel out, get the signal out there. Now, if you like jerky, we're going for the best jerky in Australia. People that eat it say it's the best jerky in Australia. I'm fucking biased. Crazy. Put a lot of effort in. When I open a packet, I just can't stop eating. This stuff is so addictive. Up to you if you want to support the show. And just look after your health. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow with the Bitcoin signal. And just remember, buy, stack, and chill. The thing wants to rip. We haven't managed to get above and hold 64K. Once that does, 64 to 69, pretty quick. From 69 straight to 74, new all-time high, and then it's game on. Maybe it's 80,000 by the end of the month. Maybe it's not. But slowly, then suddenly, you don't want to wake up and be like, oh, fuck it. I still think I had time. Don't think you have any time. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But that risk, that's not worth it. Just do everything you possibly can to get the conviction, to get as much as you possibly can, and be ready for it. Because we're going to fucking moon. It's going to go crazy. And I don't want you to miss out. This is the greatest opportunity of your lifetime. I'm so grateful you're all here for it. We'll see you tomorrow. Please do something nice for yourself today.